Hey guys, so I thought I'd just give you a bit of an update on my gaming setup and what's changed since the last video and what sort of consoles I've added as well. So let's look over here. Let's have a look at the Super Nintendo. Well, this is a Super Famicom from Japan. It has been RGB modded. It also has been region modded as well. So it plays all PAL games, US games, and of course Japanese game. I've got the SD to SNES flash card installed, so it plays essentially almost every game on the Super Nintendo library, or Super FX game, or SA1 games. I've also got the 8-bit DOE wireless receiver here, so that lets me use a wireless controller for the Super Nintendo. This is a Super Famicom pad which has had the 8-bit DOE wireless board installed. So I reckon it's really good. So over here is the Nintendo 64. This has been RGB modded, and I have the EverDrive 64 on there as well. Also over here I've got the Super Game Boy 2 with a Game Boy EverDrive, which lets me play the Game Boy library on the Super Nintendo. With the Nintendo 64, I actually have a Wavebird, a GameCube to Nintendo 64 adapter, which I then use the Wavebird to play on. So it essentially gives you a wireless controller for the Nintendo 64. I try to have all my controllers wireless. The reason for that is because all the consoles are over there and I sit down there and play. Sometimes either the cords won't reach, or you have the cord running on top of the monitor, and I'm very anxious or worried that someone might trip over the cord and send the consoles flying down. So I try to upgrade all my controllers to wireless if possible. Over here I've got the Nintendo Switch. This one's been hacked, so it has a Team Executor hacks stuff installed, which lets me run all my games from an SD card. What I've done with this is I've actually added these monitor risers. These are just glass monitor risers, which gives me a bit more space underneath to store stuff. So I mainly store all my accessories or controllers just down there. It just gives me a bit more space as well. So it's already pretty cramped setup. It just gives me a bit extra shelf space as well. So moving down here, I've got the Sega Dreamcast. This is a Japanese model Dreamcast. It has the GDEMU installed. This runs through SCART through to the Switch. I really want to get some sort of wireless controller for this. I know there's a Dreamcon, but those things are damn expensive. So sort of looking for an alternative method to get wireless controllers on a Dreamcast at the moment. So if you guys know any solution, make sure you let me know in the comments below. This is the Sega Saturn. It's a Model 2 Japanese Saturn as well. With this, I actually have the Phoebe installed. So I was really lucky a couple of months ago to manage to order one from the makers of the GDEMU. It actually wasn't a hard process. Just had to log onto the site at a certain time and be ready with your order details. So really happy to get that installed. With the Sega Saturn, I've got the Retrobit wireless receiver, so it lets me use the wireless Sega pad on the Sega Saturn. This one's actually not too bad. I actually really like this. The only issue is that the L and R button aren't as clicky as the original pad, but overall a really solid controller. I really like it. Down here I've got the GameCube. So this is a PAL GameCube. The reason I got a PAL GameCube is that it runs SCART natively, so I mainly use it for the Game Boy stuff anyways. But yeah, this one does SCART natively. You don't need to do any specific mods to it, so I've got this one running SCART into my Switch. So this one comes with, I have the Game Boy player installed with this is a Easy Flash Omega, so it lets me run all my Game Boy games through a flash card as well, which is really good. Now with the controllers, I wanted to get the Hori GameCube or Game Boy player controller, but those things are damn expensive and really hard to find. So what I've done is I've actually got a Super Nintendo to GameCube adapter. This is a RAFnet adapter which runs into the 8-bit DOE wireless receiver, which then lets me play my GameCube game with a Super Nintendo controller wirelessly as well. So that's really good for playing Game Boy games. So over here, this is my PC Engine GUI-R. This was a console I've wanted for ages, and I finally managed to get one recently on eBay for a really good price as well. This one has been RGB modded with Tim Worthington AV driver board. It has the PC or Turbo EverDrive installed, so it lets me play all my HuCard game from an SD card. And because there's no copy protection on the GUI-R or any PC Engine really, I pretty much just burn my games and play them. So I've got Rondo Blood running on there. Finished that a couple of months ago. Really good game, highly recommended. With this one, there's no wireless controller yet. I am looking into it, but for now I just plug a normal or a controller in to play it. Down here I've got the PlayStation 1. This is a launch PAL or launch Australian PlayStation 1 with the RCA jacks installed. What I've also got in there is, if you can see behind there, is a PSIO flash card, which lets me run all my PS1 games from an SD card. Really good. The switchboard install was a bit scary to do, but overall, really good. You know, not having to swap this. I think this one, the disk drive in this one is actually dead, so really good for that. Down here I've got the PS2. This is a PAL PS2. It has a mod chip installed, as well as the it has a 2 terabyte hard drive installed with Open PS2 loader. Honestly, I don't play the PS2 as much. Not my favorite console, but there are a few good RPGs on it I play. But yeah, I don't really play this one as much. I've got to mention, with the PS1, I've actually got a Logitech wireless receiver on there as well, which lets me use a Logitech wireless controller on there. This is actually designed for PS2, but I find it runs really well on PS1. I've also got another one down there for the PS2 and another wireless controller as well for it. So another one down here is the Mega Drive. So with this Mega Drive, in my last video I didn't even have it hooked up. I was waiting on some cables and wanted to get it modded before I got it all hooked up. So this Mega Drive has a region switch installed, so it lets me play PAL, Japanese and USA games. It has a triple bypass install, which makes the audio sound a lot better, and it cleans up the RGB video as well. I've got a Mega SD install, which lets me play the entire Genesis Mega Drive library, as well as all the Sega CD and Mega CD games as well. Yeah, I wanted to get a Mega or Sega CD, but those are really hard to find, and they're also really expensive. That's my next point. All my consoles, if you look, I either have some sort of flash card or a ODE solution. The reason for that is I like to play the game. I don't like to. I'm not really a collector. I just like to play the games on the original hardware. So you find that a lot of my consoles, I rarely own any game. Another thing is, game collecting in Australia is crazy at the moment. Prices are just going up, and I don't see them coming down anytime soon. So I like to play on real hardware, but yeah, collecting, it's just very expensive hobby at the moment. Up here, this is something I've added recently to the setup. This is a Panasonic Frio, the FZ1 model. This is an import from Japan. The games on here are interesting. They're mainly FMV games. It's an interesting console. I like it. So this one has a 240p switch installed, which lets me switch between 240p and 480i. I've got the optical, the ODE USB drive on order at the moment, so I'm waiting for that to come so that I can install it onto this. But yeah, a very interesting console. The games are different, but it's fun to play. Over here's the Wii. I've actually had this Wii for a while, but it's actually been in storage. I just recently pulled it out to have it modded and get a hard drive hooked up to it. I still need to find my controllers for it. I don't know where I've left the controllers for it, but I used to play this all the time back in the day. So moving over to my setup here, this is my AV Famicom, RGB modded, has a wireless receiver, has a switch at the back for a pallet switch as well, with an EverDrive. This one, I actually imported this one from Japan and did all the mods myself, so it was actually a bit difficult or a bit scary installing the NES RGB stuff in this one, but I think it's definitely worth it. I've got the Dogbone wireless controller as well, which lets me, this actually has the 8BitDo DIY board in it as well, which is really good. Here's my SCART switch. This is the Hydra 2 by Lotharek. It's an 8 input 2 output switch. I've actually ran out of space already, so I still have a few consoles that aren't hooked up and their cables are just hanging down there. I need to upgrade this one, so I'm thinking of either getting the external board, which adds another 8 input, or ordering another one and then just daisy chaining this one to the other switch. The only issue with that is I've ran out of space to put the second switch, so I'm thinking of either mounting it down here, so having 2 switch mounted on the side here, but then you can have cables running all over the place. So still undecided at the moment on what to do to make that upgrade, but hopefully in the next video I can show you guys that. So I've got here 2 outputs. So one runs into this beautiful JVC monitor, which I mainly use to do all my gaming on, and then this one here runs into the OSSC, which is essentially a scaler and lets me play games on either my PC monitor or on my bigger TV. Also, I have it hooked up to that Elgato capture card down there, which lets me stream it as well. So I said in the last video I was thinking of upgrading this, but to be honest, I rarely capture video or stream that much, so maybe I'll upgrade in the future, but it's not a big priority for me at the moment to get that all upgraded. But yeah, that's pretty much it on what has changed. A lot of consoles I've added. So what next? I really, as I said, I want to get that SCART set upgraded so I can have all my consoles hooked up at once. I also want to get a few more consoles added as well, so I need to rethink the shelving. Either add another shelf or move some stuff around, because I want to add a Amiga CD32. I want to add an original Xbox, and maybe even the Philips CDI. The games on that are pretty horrible, but I want to add that console to my collection, so I just need to rethink the current setup at the moment. But yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a bit of an insight onto how I have everything hooked up and what consoles I have. But yeah, thanks heaps for watching. If you guys have any sort of questions, make sure to leave them in the comment, or even if you have any suggestions on what I can do to sort of improve this current setup, let me know as well. As always, check out the channel My Life in Gaming and Retro RGB. Those are the 2 channels which I've learnt a lot from them, and how to get everything set up properly as well. But yeah, until next time, thanks heaps guys, have fun, bye.